reports, just coming to us live from Pretoria. Thank you very much indeed for your time. Hey, Glorious, just remind us about what was some of the testimony given over the past couple of days.
Good morning, Blaine, and good morning to our viewers. Over the past few days, starting from last week, Wednesday, and the past 2 days, we've had testimony around UDM leader General Bantu Holomisa's testimony, where we've seen the people that he implicated in his testimony taking the stand to cross-examine him on his testimony, challenging his views on what he said to the commission. Most of the testimony centered around Harrith fund managers, Harrith General Partners, and the Pan-African Infrastructure Development Fund and Lebashe. What we've seen is in his testimony, General Bantu Holomisa said that there seem to be a select few that seem to be benefiting from PIC funds, seeming to be having easy access to PIC funds. Now, he was referring to the former Deputy Finance Minister, Jabu Muleketi, and Tsepo Mahloele, who was an executive at the PIC at one point. Now, what happens is around 2006-2007, when Mr. Muleketi was the Deputy Finance Minister and automatically the Chairman of the PIC, and Tsepo Mahloele was the executive at the PIC. There was a call to establish a fund to invest in infrastructure projects across Africa, and this is the Pan-African Infrastructure Development Fund. Now, what happened is there was a trust that was formed to now facilitate the formation of this fund. Tsepo Mahloele was leading this project. Now, 25 million rand was loaned to the facilitation trust to establish this fund from the PIC. And after a while, Tsepo Mahloele then resigns from the PIC to head this operation after investors got interested in this and then wanted to invest in the fund. Now, if Harrith Fund Managers was now established to manage this fund. Its sole mandate was to manage the fund that was established. Now, what happened is now, as time went on, they said investors that came in said they did not want to invest their money in a fund that was government-led and wanted to establish a private sector-led fund manager. Now, what happened is, yes, they came in and then projects went on. As time when they realized the fund had a lifetime and it would come to an end. And with all the work that had been done and the limitations that it had in terms of managing just one fund, they decided they should establish the Harrith General Partners that could now manage different funds, grow the company. Now, staff and everything from the company, from Harrith Fund Managers, was now transferred to Harrith General Partners to be able to manage other funds and all the stuff. That's why where Holomisa's testimony said there seem to be Harrith Fund Managers and Harrith General Partners, and there seem to be no distinction as to what is what, because they seem to be sharing the same offices, they seem to be sharing a website, they're used interchangeably, they're using the same stuff. Now they said no, it's because this was changed as time went on. But then Holomisa questioned as to why was the Harrith General Partners established before the Harrith Fund Managers, and the explanation there was that Harrith General Partners was meant to be a company that was going to hold the interest of staff, shares of staff in the fund. But then at the end of the day, that was not used, and what happened is they established another trust that held that the shares were held in that trust. That's why in 2012, now everything now all along, Harrith General Partners was dormant. In 2012, it started operating, managing other funds. And the staff of Harrith Fund Managers now working for Harrith General Partners. And they're saying, actually, because the PIC holds 46% in Harrith Fund Managers and now 30% in Harrith General Partners. And now they're saying, actually, Harrith Fund Managers is not dissolved or liquidated, or it was not fleeced or anything. They're saying it's still there. They still have the board of directors. They still meet. Actually, the contract to manage the Pan-African Fund, Pan-African Infrastructure Development Fund, is subcontracted to Harrith General Partners to also manage together with other projects. Now they're saying Holomisa's testimony also centered around Lebashe, Lebashe is a company that was established by Tsepo Mahloele. Tsepo Mahloele is the chairman of Lebashe. He questioned a transaction where Lebashe got to buy Capitec shares from the PIC. Now, Tsepo Mahloele's explanation is that he presented a fully funded deal. He got funding from Investec to fund shares that were owned by PIC in Capitec, to buy those shares. But then because of delays, at that time, the shares appreciated in value to about 461 from about 351. Now there was a shortfall in the funding that he got of about 720 million. So now the PIC insisted on selling those shares at the appreciated price of 461, and now he had to get funding for the remainder. So now the PIC funded the 700, gave him a loan of 720 million to fund that portion that was a shortfall. And he said that has been paid with interest to the PIC. And he said the PIC had actually made a profit of about 200 million. The interest that they got from that loan was about 200 million. And another issue is his partners, Jabu Muleketi and Warren Wheatley, who's also the CEO of Lebashe, his company, were supposed to also give testimony before the commission, but because of time constraints, their testimony was postponed to next week, Tuesday. So the commission will continue with its other testimonies today, but the continuation of this story of Lebashe and Harrith, we'll hear more about it again next week, Tuesday.
Yeah. You know, they normally sit from Monday to Wednesday, as we were discussing earlier on, and there's so much that is coming out in terms of details at the PIC. You've been covering the story for a while now, and very closely and very, comprehensively, I guess, in the past couple of weeks. What sort of picture, Glorious, is being painted here?
It's quite complex. I must say that it's like this puzzle that you think you figured it out, and then this information comes through. Different deals. Some I think they're just bad investments. But obviously the commission will have to determine that. Some, obviously, they are questionable, but obviously the commission is investigating that. And also other issues that came out that are quite disturbing is the treatment of staff at the PIC. Just the focus this week has been on Harrith and Lebashe, but the testimonies that we've had before has been on the issue of victimization of staff, saying if you fall out of favor with management, then you get dealt with, you get frustrated, and to a point where you actually leave the organization. And the best you can hope for is a CCME settlement of some amount of money. We've seen people pleading to the commission to recommend that they be put back into their positions after they have been let go by the PIC. We've also heard of the deals, bad deals really, the VBS, where we had that VBS Mutual Bank, when it collapsed, the PIC, as much as the PIC had people on the board of the VBS, the many things that happened at VBS that the PIC as a shareholder had no idea what was happening, despite it having people there. We've heard of deals in Mozambique where we had issues of conflict of interest in terms of, we had, at the time when Nene was the deputy finance minister, we had now his son bringing a deal to the PIC to fund them. That, as much as the PIC ended up not funding that deal for them to acquire shares in a factory in Mozambique. The kind of issues of conflict of interest that arise, it's just a really complicated story that we're hoping it will unravel as time goes, and we'll get to know exactly what was happening at the PIC over this couple of years. And you are indeed the best person to unravel this for us. Gloria Sefako-Musi, live for us in Pretoria. We thank you very much indeed for your reporting. Okay, we're going to have more news at the top of the hour, but first let's check out your weather.